Good evening. Welcome to June 12th's Budget Ways and Means hearing for the 2025 fiscal year budget. Please join me in saluting the flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call of the members. Councilor Agenzio.
Here.
Here. Councilor Kelly.
Here.
Here. Councilor Novoselsky.
Here.
Here. Councilor Zambudo is absent, and Chairman Silvestri.
Here.
Here. Quorum is present. First department on for tonight is parking control.
Good evening, Zach.
Good evening. Thank you, Mr. Chairman, members of the Ways and Means Subcommittee. So I'm going to spare you the narratives. I'm happy to answer any questions that anyone may have on those, and we'll dive right into the money items. Not much has changed from the parking perspective in my department, but one of the major upgrades was we integrated with the crossing guards. We took on the crossing guard program coming up with the school year. So you'll notice an increase on salary, and that's the main reason for that is we took over about 37 crossing guards as well as 2 supervisors. And so that's the biggest increase. You'll see a decrease in our appropriation account for office supplies. The reason for that is we have gotten full support of this administration to add more technology to our field. Adding more technology is the reason why I'm not asking for additional parking officers. We have a good sense in working with other communities have already upgraded to this. We're looking to add some license plate readers technology to allow more consistent and streamlined enforcement, more effective enforcement, less labor intensive, less man labor out there walking the streets, checking each individual vehicle. This computer system will help us go through a roadway and drive through a street in about 5-10 minutes and come back with exactly how many violations we should come back with that street. This type of process and upgrade is really going to streamline enforcement, make sure that you can cover double the area in less time. This is a huge upgrade to us as we were constantly looking for ways to save cost. So this is going to reduce manpower, reduce the need for extra employees on the street, as well as reduce the overall resident permit cost. Right now, we are still issuing physical permits. There's a cost with that, to print that permit, to mail that permit. With a digital asset, you're taking that out, and it reduces the cost of our permit program by 2/3. Those are the 2 biggest changes that you'll see here in front of you tonight. Be happy to answer any questions anyone may have.
Thank you, Zach. Any questions from the, okay, Councilor Kelly.
Thank you. Thank you for being here tonight. Nice to see you.
Thank you, Councilor Kelly.
So the new equipment is the line item that you were just speaking about, correct?
Correct.
And I see that there's an item here, rentals and leases. Is that also something that's new or ties in with that in some way?
So that's the rent for our office space for the parking department. In years past, we were paying that out of our meter reserve account. Due to the recent CBAs over the past couple of years with union negotiations, the salaries of our parking officers have increased greatly. And upon the creation of the parking benefits district, which also takes some money out of our meter reserve account, we haven't had the way to sustain that under that meter reserve account. So we've had to find a way to put it into the appropriation.
Thank you.
You're welcome. And just to piggyback on that, the city is looking for ways to remove that completely in the next few years. I know with the upgrade of McKinley School, there are some big talks about moving parking over there back into a city building to take away some of our overhead for that reason.
That would be great. Thank you. Councilor Novoselsky.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thanks for coming up. Love your department. Great guys, great gang. One question, and I don't know if the mayor can answer it. Why did they put the crossing guards on the parking?
To answer, I wasn't really in those conversations. What I heard through the grapevine, it was kind of a hot potato, right? They were jumping around, and as a public safety entity with parking, I have 2 children in the city. One of them is currently in the school system. One's going to be entering a few years. I had kind of monitored the program from afar, and I seen some of the ideas that I could bring forward and help create positive change. And I think we did do that. This year, I'm not sure if you've seen, there's a different environment on Broadway with those crossing guards. They've kind of spread out throughout the community, and we've gotten a more efficient program out of that.
Council, I can elaborate a little bit on that as well. Previously, the crossing guards, although they're paid for by the city, the schools had them in their budget, but they really aren't part of the school department. There was an offset on our Schedule 19. Then we had Council Janino was kind of oversaw that as a traffic division. When he retired, it kind of left the gap, and we tried to find the best place for it. And we felt that parking and traffic and crossing guards kind of synergized together. And Zach had the willingness to take it on, and so that was kind of the natural thing. So you don't see an offset in the Schedule 19 anymore for crossing guards, because it was really a city-funded operation that the schools were administering, and there was always some crossing on, whether people were off and how you backfill and everything else. So now we're just totally controlling that operation on the city side now.
Mr. Chairman, through you to Council Novoselsky, they answered it very well, mentioned the hot potato. One great thing about Councilor Janino was he really managed the program for the last many years, and he was the conduit between the school, the city, and the police department. With his exit, there was a little bit of a gap. Modern-day police reform, it's really, it's difficult to have a lot of civilian types of people doing police functions, so we felt the leadership, Zach and his team was able to really take on the leadership. We did reward Zach with being able to do that oversight. But on top of it, if there's a shortage of staff at maybe one of the schools, one of his parking control officers takes the initiative to go to that school, put the lights on, and make sure kids are crossing safely. So we felt like they were the most likely person to be able to respond if there's shortages at schools with crossing times, and that happens over the last few years. But really good.
If I may, Mr. Chairman, I knew they were being bounced around between traffic and the school department, and I was kind of surprised when I heard it was going to parking.
Yeah,
but,
it was just the most
just-
likely. They have uniformed personnel that can really help support crossing. They care about public pedestrian safety. It goes hand in hand with the parking department. And the police, it's just a little too overwhelming for the police to be able to, a sector car to take over a school site during a busy day. So it's just a little bit easier for the parking department to help manage that. And they've done a really good job of it. So I do commend Zach and his team for being able to do that. I thank them. And most importantly, the meters, the crossing guards, they were bounced around, so they're humans too. And they didn't, who were they reporting to? Where do they belong? So they finally have a home as well, and Zach has really brought them into that fold.
Yeah, and that's
Okay.
what I was getting from them.
Mm-hmm.
They didn't know which way to go, or turn, or
Yeah,
who
do
to
you
talk
call?
to, right.
It was being run
Yeah.
by like a phone, it was
Yeah.
being run by like it wasn't being run like a full department.
Yeah, I just think it still has to be clarified to them, because I still think some of them don't understand what's going on, so just
There you
to
go.
let you know. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor. Councilor Argenzio.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you, Mr. Barbo, for coming up tonight. Just a couple of things. The total salary, other sources, is that directly from the parking meter receipts, those salaries?
Yes, that comes from the receipt reserve account for parking meter revenue.
You alluded to the fact that you might be not sending out physical stickers anymore. So I know some residents, through a glitch or whatever, don't get the sticker. So how will those residents know that they're registered and?
Are you referring to restricted addresses or some residents that just might not make it into the fulfillment at the
Right,
beginning
I
of
know
each year?
several residents call and say they pay excise tax, they're registered here, but I didn't get a sticker, and they come down to get it.
So we've been working on those for the past 4 years. There's usually one of 3 reasons why you didn't get a sticker: overdue excise tax, overdue parking ticket, or an address discrepancy.
Right.
Address discrepancy is one we really run into a lot because we're an early civilized coastal community. So for the most part, somebody might have 70 on their door, but their tax ID is really 68.
Okay.
There's only so much manipulation with the data that we can do to ensure that those are issued each and every year, but we have continued to work on creative measures on contacting these individuals, should they have not gotten the sticker. If we get a list each year on what stickers have not gone out and why.
Okay.
During that process, we go through a warning phase where we try to get to those individuals, leaving a warning on the card just saying, we need to update your sticker. We will continue to identify ways to adjust data and get the cleanest way to get all stickers fulfilled. This upcoming year, there will be a notification via email. So if you're in my system, you have an email there. You'll be notified via email come February that your sticker will be digitized, and you will receive an email confirmation. Similar how you get the printed out sticker today, you would get that in your email, just to confirm that your permit has been created. Here's what it would look like should we print it, but there's no reason to display it.
Okay, so if you don't get a physical sticker and you're an elderly and you're not looking at your email, how will you know when the traffic enforcement goes by? Will a ticket be issued, and that's how you'll know you?
That's a great question. No, we try to ensure that we don't hurt our residents through the sticker issuance. We do about 6 weeks of warnings to make sure that the
Okay.
communication is out there. We post it across all social media, Facebook, websites. I know some elderly base aren't great with the internet, so we try to leave physical notes somewhere along the way to get their attention.
All right, thank you very much.
Absolutely.
I'm all set.
Thank you, Counselor. And Zach, thank you. Counselor Cogliandro.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Director Babo, I am thrilled you're getting license plate readers. I've been asking you for the last now 3 budgets. That's going to help you, and that's going to help us cut down the number of phone calls about cars, that aren't supposed to be parked and whatnot. Just a quick question. Before the crossing guards came over, how many employees were in your department?
17,
And now how many do you oversee?
about 57.
About 57. And as part of those contract negotiations, is that where your raise came in as well?
So there was a stipend given to me last year, at the beginning of the year, for taking on the crossing guards, yes.
So you took on 40 employees. All right. I'll save the rest of my comments for Mr. Biscay later.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Counselor. Zach, thank you for coming up tonight. I just got a few questions. One with the crossing guards. How is that going?
Awesome.
Okay.
So we have 2 supervisors. We consider them floaters. So on a regular basis, on a full complementary staff, there are 2 supervisors. They're given half the staff each. They have 3 schools they circulate, making sure that their team is okay, everyone's healthy, if there's anything to report, they report them to the supervisors, come right back to me directly. Along that, they also monitor what they're doing. If there is something that we're not doing process and procedurally, there is training done in that moment to ensure that we are crossing children safely. And it's been great. The 2 supervisors we selected are real hands-on, real attentive, and easy to communicate with. We have our year-end final meeting on Friday, where we'll be sitting down with the current crew. They'll be given their reasonable assurance letters to return next year, and we'll go through, talk about how this year went, some of our expectations going into next year, and get ready for a nice summer and then an early training before school starts next August.
Excellent. So on that topic, I know it was very important for the mayor to catch up and the administration to catch up with their contract negotiations, and I know they got a pretty nice raise, and they're not finally making what they deserve. But over the years, I've watched them go from a very professional, dressed, they almost look like police officers crossing children, to more or less wearing civilian clothes and whatnot. I'm hoping you can bring that professionalism back, because I think that takes a lot of the respect that they get when a car's coming. It matters when they see that uniform, and I think that's a part of the safety aspect that we need to bring back. I know they're given a stipend for clothing, I believe, so I think that if they're given the stipend, they should be using it.
I agree. Thank you, Counselor. And I'm big on uniform, and I just recently did the same thing last year with all my park control officers, and we stepped it up a bit more this year. Uniform allowances are coming out. We expect everyone to be in high-vis yellow shirts. Exact same styled shirt, same color. Needs to be uniform. And when you see that person out there, you need to know what role they're fulfilling for the city. And I'm big on that. I agree. Thank you for that perspective.
Thank you. Thanks for your time. Great job.
Next up is
Good evening, Chief.
Good evening, Chairman Silvestri and Ways and Means Councilors. Regarding our budget presentation, we're not one to toot our own horns, but we'll go down the line real quickly about our 24 accomplishments. As you can see in the first bullet, we hired a new civilian apparatus mechanic, and that has been working out tremendously for us. We've been going through our fleet and, really getting our equipment up to snuff. And a lot of the programs that we weren't able to do over the years that are required by NFPA, like testing the ladders and the pumpers and everything, we've been getting into that stuff. We've been, getting in deep. So that program's been going really well for us. Under the second bullet, as you can see, we secured a grant from MEMA for almost $28,000 for the purchase of a new diesel emergency backup generator for headquarters. That backup generator is currently up there, is over 30 years old, and was in, dire straits, replacement long overdue. So in the process now, I think that equipment is in, and we'll be installing that very shortly. Under the third bullet, as you can see, we placed an order for 2 additional engines and 1 ladder truck. There's long lead times for that to come in. Well, hopefully that'll be in sometime next, this coming fiscal year 25 or shortly thereafter. Those apparatus were purchased, again, through ARPA money, and thanks to Mayor Keefe for support on that. And going down to the next bullet, Freeman Street Fire Station, which I think everyone knows is over 100 years old and really is in need of replacement. But we've been trying to keep that station operational, and we installed a new heating and cooling system down there. And again, just to try to make things, to keep it in service until we can figure out when we can build a new station for Engine 5. And going right down the line, you see we purchased a new assistant chief's car. The other car was 10 years old and in need of replacement. And the last item that you can see on the list is we received an EMPG grant in the amount of approximately $31,000 to purchase new ballistic gear. Unfortunately, in these times that we're in, these are things we have to take into consideration when we respond to active shooter type of situations. And so this will help us be better equipped and better protected in those situations. At this time, I'll open it up to any questions on, fiscal year 25 goals and objectives or the budget itself.
Chief, thank you very much. Any questions from the committee? Councilor Argento.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and thank you, Chief Bright, for coming up. You have an excellent department. A lot of the firefighters I know personally. I've known you since high school. And I'm looking forward to the opening of the New Pines Fire Station. I just want to say thank you very much. I really don't have any questions about the budget, and good luck and great job.
Thank you, Councilor Argento. Appreciate that.
Thank you, Councilor. Councilor Cogliandro.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Welcome, Chief. Thank you for the presentation.
Thank you.
You know that I support the fire department wholeheartedly. Budget looks great. I did have a question not related to the budget. I saw a video of a car, an electric vehicle that was on fire. But what concerned me the most is that that car was underwater and it was still on fire. So my question to you, and I've just gotten this from a few residents, what are we doing to tackle the electric vehicle fires? Because I know that water doesn't really work to put them out.
Yeah, water is probably still the best thing we have, unfortunately. I think the fire service, it is a real problem, and we're all scrambling, trying to figure that out. We're constantly, looking to, like, how FDNY is handling those situations. They have a lot more experience with them, with our partners in the State Fire Marshal Office and all the other different organizations. So on our end, again, we've been trying to train, purchase equipment that may help us with EV car fire. And the car fires aren't really even, in my opinion, aren't the biggest threat. It's all the other devices that people are taking into their apartment buildings and high-rise buildings and everything else. That's the real danger that I can foresee in coming attractions that has me, keeps me up at night. But to be quite frank, there's no great answers for that right now. I think the the best thing that could probably happen is they can somehow come up with laws that, penalize a lot of the non-UL rated stuff and a lot of stuff that's flood, the bootleg batteries that are coming in from, say, other countries, that those are the dangerous type of things that are causing the fires typically. So, and if they make a safer battery at some point in time. But right now, again, it's we've been meeting, trying to, rewrite ordinances to make things safer. Whenever we're doing inspections, what we can do, and, and we've had some incidents of EV fires again, but I think it's a real concern going forward, and again, we are all over it, but I'll be honest, we don't have great answers at this point.
Thank you very much, Chief. Appreciate it.
Councilor Novoselsky.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. No, nothing more great than we can say about our fire department. It's the best in the state as far as I'm concerned.
Thank you.
But the question I have, and Councilor Zambudo brought it up at the council meeting a couple of weeks ago about fires in buildings where the charging stations are. And when that came up, do we have capability, availability of foam if we need it? Foam trucks, is it under us, or do we call in mutual aid for that? Or
Our engines have the capacity to flow foam, our frontline pieces. If we have anything really big, we can call in Massport, which is right next door, and we have, like if we have tanker rollovers, stuff of that nature, we're going to be there, it's going to be a big call in the cavalry, we need everybody down there. But our frontline pieces do have foam, but, that's really not, that'll help with a class B and certain other fires, not so much EV fires, not so
okay.
much.
Are there laws changing regarding garage charging stations, to deal, because that's what Councilor Zambudo was talking about the charging stations under apartment houses?
Yeah, well, all that stuff is under review. We're trying to rethink things and write ordinances going forward, so any of the new things being built are as safe as possible. But I mean, let's face it. Right now there's really nothing out there to prevent anyone from taking a bike or any type of mobility device into their apartment building or high rise or multi-unit triple-decker somewhere, and those are the types of things. And it's not just cars, it's, it could be a wheelchair, it could be a scooter, it could be a bike, it could be your cell phone, your iPad, things like that, computers, all that stuff,
Yeah.
so. It's a
Okay,
problem.
but I know we're going to be continually working on stuff like that as far as city ordinances are concerned, but
Well-
I'm not sure what the state code has come up with or is working on.
Well, they certainly are working on it, and I know we've sat down locally, too, with the solicitor, Claire in the solicitor's office, and we've been trying to work on the city ordinances. We've started work on that. to
Well,
take a look at
I would
that.
hope that, a committee that is working on that includes your department to
Of
get
course.
some input on it.
No, we have
So we
sat
can-
down. We
we
have
can-
already met
we can do it.
and sat down on that,
Good.
yes.
Thank you very much,
Sure.
appreciate it.
You're welcome.
Good job.
Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor. Chief, thank you very much for coming up tonight. The men and women of Revere Fire Department are class acts. Your professional training and everything has come leap years from years back. I mean, water training, everything you all are doing right now is top-notch. Please continue to do it to keep us safe. Great job.
I can't thank you enough for the kind words. I'm sure all our firefighters appreciate that, and thank you again.
Mr. Chairman, I have one more question.
Sure.
Sorry, Councilor
That's
Genji.
okay. You increased the number of firefighters by 2 this year, from 119 to 121? That's correct. Oh, okay, great, thank you.
Mr. Chairman, just, excuse me, one other thing.
Okay.
I just want to make a comment about Freeman Street. I agree with you 1,000%. And if you came in, and I know it's a lot of money, to build a new station, it would cost us almost $4 million for the Parkway building. I don't know if we need it that big, but we need something better than what we have, and I think we have a spot for it too. So I hope it comes up while I'm still around so I can vote for it. because I want it to happen, because I understand what's going on.
I agree, because the last thing we want to get into a situation where the Freeman Street, right now, it's being literally held up with, timbers in the basement and stuff, the apparatus boards, we have some structural issues down there. So we're trying to keep it going, but that is a major concern, because as we have the Alderney Mills Station reopening this year, by the end of the year, the last thing we want to have is Engine 5 to get condemned.
Right.
That would be a huge
Good.
blow.
Thank you,
So,
Mr. Chairman, for the latitude.
Thank you.
Thank you, Counselor, and again, thank you, Chief.
Regional Emergency Communications Center.
Good evening. Ways and Means, Richard Viskey, 21 Broadway. On behalf of the Regional Emergency Communications Center, I'm here to try to answer any questions on that. As you may know, the REC is a joint operation between the town of Winthrop and the city of Revere. The assessments are based upon population and call volume from the two communities. That's a 3-year average of those figures, and our assessment is based upon that percentage split. The number before you is basically the assessment for the operations of that communication center between Winthrop and Revere, and it's an assessment we get, and happy to try to answer any questions on the budget itself. I guess that's it. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Rich. Any questions? Counselor Argenzio.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you, Mr. Viskey. I know there's plans on moving it to the McKinley School eventually. Will we still be involved with Winthrop at that point?
Yeah, right now, it's definitely Winthrop and Revere. We're looking to open a standalone operations center and pull them out of the police station on Winthrop Ave. I know part of that is also trying to get a third-party member to join us to reduce costs and acquire additional grants, but Winthrop and Revere will still be the two members until we can receive a third one.
Will that be to our advantage because it's housed here
It'll be to our advantage.
financially?
Well, I think the financial benefit would be the fact that we are eligible for up to a $15 million grant to retrofit the McKinley School to build that center, but at that point, there'll still be operating costs. Right now, the center pays $48,000 a year to the city for the utilities and some of the operational costs over there. And it was $24,000. We negotiated back up to $48,000. I don't think it quite covers the cost, so, but I think more importantly, it's going to allow the police station to take over their full space and have a little more room for their staff.
Thank you very much. I'm all set.
Thank you, Counselor. Any other councilors? No? Thank you very much. Just one quick question, Rich. The third city, how's that look? How's that coming? Are we?
Yeah, we're looking, I know we got a new town manager in Chelsea, city manager in Chelsea that I believe there's some conversations with. There has been some turnover in staff in the city of Everett. I know Whitney Morgan, who is the director over there, may be better suited to ask that. I can follow up with her and see if she has any more input, and I can bring back to you at the next meeting.
Thank you very much. Have a good.
Next up is the building commissioner.
Good evening, Louis.
Good evening, everybody. My name is Louis Cavallaro. I'm the building commissioner. And basically, we're going to have the same budget as last year. It's actually a little less. With all the building going on, as everybody knows, last year we brought on 2 part-time electrical inspectors and a part-time building inspector to keep up with all the inspections and to handle all the reviews of permits. That helped a lot this year. I feel like before that, counselors and everybody was probably getting a lot of complaints about permits taking a long time, inspections taking a long time, and this year I feel like that has been decreased by 90%. I feel like we need to keep that going, and if any cuts get made, I feel like there's gonna be a lot more complaints. Just to go through a few numbers, last year, we had 4,500 permits and a total of 210 million in cost of construction. And this year, we had 4,900 permits and a cost of construction of 240 million. And I don't foresee that going down. I would say we're gonna, with Suffolk Downs and all the building going on, it's just gonna continue. 311 is great, but if that creates more work for us, we have to respond to complaints, noise complaints, other complaints that normally wouldn't have, we didn't get as many without 311. Now that we have 311, there's a lot more, which is good. It's good that we respond to all the noise complaints or something about a fence or anything. We have, as you know, the Safe Housing Task Force, which handles all these complaints, and right now, we have about 800 properties that either have illegal apartments or some sort of violation that we have to take track of and spend time. So Revere, just to put in perspective, Revere has a population of about 70,000, and we have 3.5 building inspectors. And Chelsea has about 50,000. They have 5 full-time building inspectors, which I think we're doing our job, which is good. We're just doing, our inspectors are doing more, and we're being more efficient, which is good for the city, saves the taxpayer money. So goals. Our goals is to ensure that all the construction within the city is properly completed, up to building code, ensure the welfare, the well-being of all residents. We want to make it easy for people to pull permits. We try to do that as best as possible. I feel like when people want to spend money on their house and make it nice, it's a good thing for everybody, a good thing for the city, raises tax money. So when people come in, they want to spend money on their house, and the city makes it hard for them. A lot of people end up not pulling permits, not getting inspections, and it's not good. Language, we have multiple people that speak Spanish, Portuguese. We're working to add more to that. And then another goal of mine is just like communication as to what inspectors do. So I feel like everyone knows what a police officer does. You know, they pull someone over speeding. Everyone says, yeah, they agree with the police officer. But when I ask for plans, you know, I get like an angry response. And I just feel like we have to do better of communicating that, yeah, the building inspector asks for plans. That's what's required by building code. Same thing with illegal apartments, as everyone knows. I have apartments that have been there since the 30s, been taxed since the 30s. And it doesn't matter how long it's been there, unfortunately, and it's been bought and sold 10 times, and they have to remove it now in 2024. And we want to work on I think we should have an ordinance that tries to legalize if they've been there for so long, and we're trying to work on that. And that's basically my presentation. If you have any questions, I'd be happy to answer them.
Thank you, Louis. Great job. Any questions from the council? Council Carpenter.
Thank you, Mr. President. Louis, thank you for being here. I just wanted to ask, in regards to responding to noise complaints, is that about construction going on? And
Yes.
that's your area, not like a party in a backyard, right?
No, yeah, it's all only construction noise, yeah.
So, thank you. And the other question I have is, what is the best way for us as the city councilors who get the calls on the weekends? I mean, Friday after 10 o'clock, what's the best way for us to communicate with you or the department?
Right. Right now, the best thing to do is to call the police, because we don't have anybody on standby, which maybe we should have someone on standby doing an emergency on the weekends. But usually if it's a roof being done, the police go by, they stop them, and then we send them a letter on Monday, and then we write them a ticket and fines and make them pull permits.
And just one more, there's no non-payroll for this department. Is that on the inspectional services side?
Yes, it is.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Councilor Argento.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and thank you, Mr. Cavanaro, for coming tonight. I know you have a tough department. A lot of residents don't like you because you're enforcing things, you're ticketing them, but it's something that needs to be done, and if a fire occurs because the wiring wasn't done correctly or a deck collapses, you know, that's what you're there for, and you do a great job. I have a question, as Mr. Council President Cogliano said, that the nights and weekends, I know I call you or I call Mike Wells and you're very responsive, but I know that's not the answer. I had made the suggestion before, a system like the DPW that has a answering service, which is a very small cost, an on-call phone, you get a small stipend for your inspectors, you pass it from one inspector to another, and then for a week, a particular inspector is on if something happens at night, if something happens on the weekend. So if I could make that suggestion, maybe you could, you know, pass that along, talk with the mayor.
I agreed. I think that would be great if we had something like that, because I'm maybe in Maine on a Sunday morning when you
Exactly,
text me and
I know.
the guy's doing.
So you've always been very responsive to me as well as
Yes.
Mike Wells, but I know that's not the answer, so.
Right. I will respond to emergencies if there's a fire
Right.
or a building goes through a car. I'll either have one of me or another inspector respond. If they hit a light pole, the electrical inspector will respond. But
Because I know a lot of times the calls would come through the DPW, you know, because for lack of any other place to call, and I would pass along. So just something, you know, that you could discuss.
of
And
course,
thank you very much, Mr. Cavanaro.
you're welcome.
Thank you, Councilor. Councilor Novoselsky.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Lou, you know, I know it's been said that you have a tough job, you know, and you'll never have enough people to operate properly. And I know you do your best. I know we have weekend issues. What is the rule on contractors and developers working on Sunday?
They are not allowed to work on Sundays at all. They can work from 8 to 7, Monday through Saturday, no holidays.
8 to 7 on regular days?
Yes.
Oh, that's a side of the noise ordinance, which is
And then the noise
7 to
ordinance-
9?
Yeah, the noise ordinance was close by like decibels to like 11 o'clock or something.
So Sunday is absolutely out, because we do see a lot of that going on.
Sundays is
And they
absolutely,
usually start Friday afternoon
yeah, Sundays they cannot work at all.
at all.
Unless they have special approval from me and the police department. But I haven't given any for that.
Are they given anything written to that effect, that they have authorized to work on Sunday?
Yes, I will, for example, some of the apartment buildings on the beach, they want to start work at 7. The unions like to start work at 7. Now when it says 8, and I'll give them something written to start at 7. But I have never given that for a Sunday.
Yeah. Yeah, I know I text you on weekends. I don't expect you to respond to me, but you do, you know, and I appreciate that, you know, but it just gives you a heads up for that Monday morning target that I'm looking at. But what is this, do you have any additional people for plumbing other than Mark Locke?
So Mark's full-time, and we have a part-time plumbing inspector, but he's not, as you would say, full-time, part-time. He only works when Mark's on vacation.
So we only have one guy is in plumbing.
Right.
Don't we have a lot more work than that?
We have a lot of work, yes. But Mark gets the job done.
Oh, I know he does, you know, but, you know, I'm just trying to think about, you know, because sometimes I get people call me, gee, I called the plumbing inspector last week and I haven't heard back from him. You know, so, you know, I don't like to put him on the line at all, you know, as a target, but, you know, and I know he's busy, but you would think that we'd need a couple part-timers to, like we did with the electrical.
You know, I never heard that usually Mark will do the inspection that day or the next day.
Yeah.
I don't
Okay.
really get a lot of complaints like that.
Okay,
But we'll look into it.
Yeah, just trying to make things easier for him, and so in case he doesn't get overwhelmed,
Right,
but it's just something to look at for the future.
right. We have a lot
Other
of,
than that, all you guys are good, and, I always have different issues, as you know, we're always in touch. But I thank you for your efforts, and I thank the whole department for their efforts, so.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Counselor. Counselor Kelly?
Thank you. Just one question. You noted that you had a couple of part-time hires. Is that the line item for other salaries? Would that be what that is comprised of?
Counselor, the part-timers are on the bottom right-hand corner of the salary sheet. We only list the full-time equivalents on the detail, and then you'll see underneath part-time salary, 73,838
Okay. So,
on page 70 of your book.
okay. So the other salaries then? That's,
No, it says part-time salaries right underneath the subtotal, 719,775, and then you'll see part-time salaries.
okay. Thank you. Got it.
You'll-
Thank you, Counselor. And Louis, thank you. Thank you for coming up. I think you guys do a great job. Actually, we have one more question from Counselor Swire behind you.
Sorry.
Counselor Swire.
Thank you. Going on what Councilor Novoselsky had asked you, on a Sunday, you said there's absolutely no working. Would a truck coming down and delivering water to fill up a pool with the generators going be considered as part of that noise ordinance? Because I'm having that issue.
I don't know. That's a good question. I never got asked that question before. But if they were dropping off like a machine or any type of material.
No, filling
I
the
would say
pool.
yeah. Filling the pool, I would say yeah, for a Sunday.
Okay, because
Yeah,
if
it's
it starts at 8 o'clock in the morning and it just continues until they're finished,
It's considered work, yeah.
so I could call the police and have the police.
Right now, that's what we have set up. You gotta call the police will stop them, and then we'll send out the violation on Monday.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
Thank you, Counselor. Louis, thank you. Great job. I think you're 100% right. I think you need more inspectors. I think you guys are short-staffed, but you still do a great job. You're very professional down there. You're very responsive, and I appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you.
On to Public Works Administration.
How you doing, guys? Chris Charamella, Superintendent of Public Works.
Good evening, Chris.
Good evening. So we're starting with the administration budget. Some of our accomplishments of the admin is moving into our new DPW facility that we have obtained. We have done some restructuring of the entire upper staff of the DPW. I'll let you guys find them. What's that? So we've done some restructuring of the higher level of DPW admin staff, and it's pretty well worked out. Where it's a tree, it's well evaluated. We thought through the whole process, and we think we've come up with an idea that will work over the next couple of years. So we've had some training on our new, Munis ExecuTime, which is a new timing, the two timekeeping system we're going to be using from now on. I believe we're going to be the first department to use it, but it'll automate everything and make it a cleaner, easier system to run. And that's all I got for you guys.
Thank you, Chris. Any questions from the council? Council.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman, and thank you, Chris, Mr. Charamella, for coming. Obviously, I'm biased here. It's a great department, a great bunch of workers, and I wish you a lot of luck in your new position. So in the administrative salaries, the superintendent, the business manager, the general foreman, and the operations manager are split half on the water sewer side and half on the administrative side.
That is correct.
Okay. Have you filled the position of construction oversight yet?
No, we have not.
Okay. Do you plan on doing that?
Yes.
Okay. And you're going to be adding a mechanic finally?
Yes.
All right.
That's going to be
Thanks,
one of the
Richard.
other large, yeah,
Okay.
so that mechanic's going to be utilized for the entire city for parking, city hall, I mean, whatever it is. I mean, we got to bring all that in-house. That's going to be a huge gain for us.
Okay, great, thank you.
Yep.
Okay. Chris, thank you very much. You're doing a great job. Continue it, and the men down there, just keep up the good work. Thank you.
Public
Yeah,
Works, snow and ice.
A couple more budgets.
I can answer snow and ice. It's pretty straightforward. It's been the same budget since I've been here. We level fund that every year because once we raise that appropriation, we can never reduce it per Mass General Law. As most of you may know, it is the one budget that we are allowed to overexpend without further appropriation. Any type of deficit that is in that account at the end of the year is usually covered by a free cash transfer, or if not covered, it is part of the following year's tax rate recap where we have to raise that deficit. So it's a pretty lean budget. We typically do go over that, but we don't like to overinflate that budget with the risk of affecting other departmental budgets. So $350,000 has been pretty much the same appropriation, at least for the last 7 years.
Thank you very much. Any questions from the council? Okay, up next.
Public Works, Highway Division, and signs.
Okay, so for this year, just for the fiscal year accomplishments, we've mill and paid 18,600 linear feet of new resident streets. There's a lot more to come this spring, just so everyone's aware. And we've done an extensive staff training over the past couple months. We've held OSHA classes, hazardous waste handling classes. We're always pushing all of our employees to get their CDLs, as far as we've held the hoisting class to help individuals get their hoisting and pass the exam as well. Down at the bottom, you guys can see the actual breakdown of work orders and stuff for the past couple of years. Performance measures.
Any questions from the council? Councilor Novoselsky.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I know you're fairly new for knowing what my title is down the city yard, being the sign counselor.
Sign king, yes.
And, you know, because I believe, and I know when we used to take it to court, the courts would say, if there's no sign, you can't give them a ticket, you know, for parking and stuff like that.
Yep.
And, you know, I've always reinforced that we have to get signs up. Now, two things on signs. Number one, I know we put a lot of them on telephone poles. And I know a lot of the poles become double poles for various reasons. But National Grid doesn't recognize our signs. And when they eliminate a pole, they take our signs with them.
Yeah, technically, I don't believe we're allowed to put signs on telephone poles.
Excuse me?
I don't believe we're technically allowed to put.
We're not.
No, okay.
I know we're not. So we lose a lot of the signage. So we have to push to utilize more posts,
Agreed,
you
agreed.
know, in between the telephone poles and not to obstruct any particular thing. So I think we have to concentrate on that. And you know, the sign department's been my target for many years.
What do you think? I think they've stepped up and done a good job over the past
They
few
have,
months.
no question. But, you know, one thing that, you know, I put in, and I've been looking for over 20 years, I've had like 20 veteran signs that disappeared in the blizzard of '78 that are still missing.
Okay, that's something we're
And,
gonna have
you know,
to.
and I've submitted the list several times. And I put in a couple years ago that we put extra money in for the veteran, the black signposts. And I was told, oh, we have enough money for that. And they were still never done. and I'm still looking for them. I have
right.
the lists, I have the locations.
If you could pass me along that list, I'd like to
You know,
try to go
I've
through
given
them and
it-
see
I've
what's
given it
there
some-
and what is not.
Yeah, and, you know, I actually went around with Nick Boole one year, and we surveyed every name that we had, that we approved at the city council level. So we went around and found the one that were missing. So that's one thing that I want to target for this coming year, that we get
Okay.
those veterans and honor of veterans that are
Well,
MIA.
they did
and I'll say that.
recondition a large amount of signs this year for the Veteran Memorial. There's 300 that they changed out.
And a lot of the
But
signs.
if there are missing ones, that's a separate issue that we
Right.
can address.
And a lot of the signs that are out there now are worn. You know, you can barely see some of them. You know, and I can give you a list of those. I haven't pushed those,
They have been changing those out.
but we have to
There's
make sure
a lot of those
we
that have been
change them out,
replaced.
are worn out, you know. And who changed the rule about no gold star
That I do not know.
on that?
That I do not know.
Because, you know, I was just recently told that they're not putting gold stars on the names of veterans any longer. They're just using a red, white, and blue stripe on either end of the sign. I don't know if,
Bill Bonasso, 319 Charger. So it came from the Veteran Services, the new Veteran Services, and the signs that were missing, the list that you had given me, they've already been printed. So we're working on getting those up.
with stars or without stars?
Without, if they're not Gold Star families, they're not going to have
Well,
a Gold Star.
Those weren't made for, you know, specifically Gold Star families. You know, anybody that was a veteran's name, it had a uniform on, and it was in combat, got a Gold Star.
Absolutely. We'll have
It
to
was never
revisit that with
related
the-
to a Gold Star family that I know.
I'm more than happy to revisit that with the Veteran Services, and we can go from there.
You know, I think it's important, especially if they've had it before, you know, because they asked for some to be replaced, and they say, oh, we're not doing Gold Stars even on the replacement ones, which
Right.
I don't agree with.
No, we can revisit that with the new Veteran Services.
Okay, and I will have to discuss that also with them, so, but, you
We'll
know,
get to
I
the bottom
wasn't
of that.
happy when I was told that. Anyway.
I was not aware that there was a Gold Star program in place that was being removed.
Right. The last item, you know, and I talked to Councilor Argento about this, the street signs that we have are blue and white with the city seal.
Correct.
And that was done maybe, what, 6, 7 years ago?
Yeah, we started about 5, 6 years ago,
Right.
yes.
And I know, and I've noticed that a lot of them have fallen off, were never put back on. And a lot of the streets never had a blue sign at the corner of an intersection. I don't know how the other councilors, you know, ward councilors feel that, you know, they've noticed it, or the councilors at large have noticed it, but I have, and, you know, you drive up to an intersection, you have no clue what the street name is. We know because we live there, but I mean, if someone came up, they're going up one-way streets, not knowing the name of the street, or looking on GPS, and, you know, it's bad. So you know, I don't know if anybody else wants to work their wards and find out what blue signs are missing on what streets. I'm willing to do it, and I plan on doing it.
We can tackle that as
So
well.
I think we ought to readdress that.
There was a program, we switched out a large majority of the old signs to the new blue signs with the city seal. If there are any missing, that's something we'll have to address.
And there's still some old black signs that are still
There may
floating
be
around.
a
There's
few.
not a lot, but there's still
There
some.
may
that-
be a handful, yes.
It should be addressed, so I will make you my list. And just add to the list of things that you have to do in the sign department.
Feel free to send it my way. We'll
Chris,
address
I'll
it.
get you a
Thank
list.
you,
I'll get
Counselor.
a list
Thank
from
you.
Ward 3. What time's the game start?
Councilor Argenzio.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I know this isn't you, Mr. Chumella, it's more of a battle I've had with Mr. Viscay in the last 4 mayors. The overtime for the different departments, it's been stagnant for years, and it's really not a realistic figure. I know looked in the water sewer enterprise, and that overtime account has gone up dramatically. Any reason that the overtime accounts on the general side have not gone up at all?
No particular reason, and you are correct. We typically do exceed the overtime budgets. And sometimes it's just a matter of trying to balance the operational costs that are fixed, like the salaries, and, let's just assume we had to fund the extra $100,000 in that DPW overtime spread out over those departments. That may affect the cost of hiring another laborer or two. What we find is throughout the year, sometimes there's vacancies and turnover, and what we usually do is we transfer some of that surplus salary down there to supplement it. We actually do think, though, that as part of the new time and attendance, we hope to have a little bit more accountability of that overtime, hopefully bringing down costs. And we've also been talking for several years about creating a Saturday shift that may actually reduce the cost of overtime. So, we try not to plan to spend more overtime than we need. We know it's a necessary item in these budgets. And, we do realize they're hedged down a bit, usually to level funded, and we always make up the time. We've never not done something because there was no overtime money. So it's more of a strategic play on not overfunding that at the risk of affecting a full-time equivalent.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Counselor. Counselor Kelly? Nope.
Public Works, Open Space, and Parks.
The next department we have is the Parks and Open Space. The fiscal year accomplishments were re-rubberized surfaces at Harmon Park, Gibson Park, Costa Park. They have replaced the netting and made it higher along Griswold Park to prevent balls from going over to the neighboring properties. And remulching of Lewis Pastoral Park. The Parks Department has also done a great job this year maintaining in all the open spaces and stuff we were tasked with cutting in the city. It's a small department, and they've done an outstanding job so far.
Any questions from the council? Councilor Argenzio.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. It's more of a question for Mr. Viscay. I know in years past, the tree removal account and the park playground, you used to supplement that with some additional monies. Is that going to happen again this year?
It's my hope that we fund that this year. This year was a little different due to the large bond authorization and all the talk about the high school. It delayed our submittal of a capital plan. Kind of wanted to see where the council end up voting on that high school, and now that we know that it's a reality, we do have two more meetings before the end of the fiscal year to appropriate the balance of our free cash for certain items. Free cash usually is the supplement to that account in the form of the CIP, but I know trees are always a hot topic, so I think we will definitely see some money in the account for some tree work. The parks itself, I believe there's some encumbrances opened up that may supplement that, but right now we just wanted to wait to see where the high school was before we submitted the capital plan. So unfortunately, we'll probably submit that capital plan sometime in the summer or fall, and then we can revisit any types of appropriations we need for those operations.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Counselor. Counselor Kelly.
Good evening. I'm just wondering, is there any plan or update regarding McMacken Field?
So McMacken Fields is a problem we've been going back with the two condo associations next door. So to date, we've had the site survey has been done for McMacken Field. We've also done borings to figure out the quality of the soil under McMacken Field. Currently, the problem we're having is the drainage water that's being directed to the field from the neighboring properties. We've had 2 meetings so far with both condo associations, and we've asked both associations to come together and make some type of agreement to redirect their water that's flowing out into the field, out to the Revere Parkway, so we can make that field usable again.
Thank you.
No problem.
Councilor Novoselsky.
Thank you, Council, for bringing up McMacken Field. It's unfortunate that we've lost that field.
We'll get it back, councilors.
I see the pumping going on all the time, but way back when, before your time, it was my understanding that somebody took them to court, and the courts ruled that the city had approved the drainage back then, and that they did, because I know somebody in the park tried to plug those holes, the
Yeah,
drainage holes.
so I actually came across an email from 1999 stating that there was the drainage problem coming across, that the city investigated it and did come to the conclusion that it is their drainage coming onto McMackin's property. At that time, it was not a city facility, it was owned by the Revere Little League, and the city has absolutely no right whatsoever to allow one entity to drain onto another's. So there is no permitting that the city, if there was such a thing, that is legal in any means.
Well, I know it's not legal, and, but for some reason, way back when, okay, it was approved for that drainage to go into the field. And because they got their certificates of fitness and occupancy, the city approved it and let everything go. And it was way back, probably even before my time. So, and the court ruled that the city approved it. They gave them their building permits and approved everything, and that the Little League could not do anything about it. So that was, you may want to look at that or talk to, Ron.
I'll definitely look into that.
But, I kind of remember that. And one other thing, is there any way we can get that flag down?
The flag.
The American flag.
Yeah,
in center field.
we have a
It's
demo
disgrace.
proposal. There's a proposal, we have to demo the existing site.
Yeah, but that flag should be taken down. It's in real bad
We're
shape.
trying to address that as soon as possible. It's
Yeah,
just
I know
tough with all
it's-
the water getting into that field and actually doing work with all the extra flow coming in.
Yeah,
It's nearly impossible to get the machinery down there with the
yeah, so, anyway.
inflow.
But, everybody does a great job there, and, I know we do the best we can with what we have. And, but, thank you for everything, and thank all the guys for everything, so appreciate it.
Thank you.
Yep.
Chris, thanks for coming up tonight. I appreciate your time. I just got one question. It is regarding McMackin Field. I got a call from a neighbor the other day that abuts McMackin.
Yep.
And they see that the water is being drained, and they understand, will it be sprayed for mosquitoes? That was their question, because the mosquitoes from the water festering in the summertime becomes brutal in their backyard.
I can definitely add that to the list, just so everyone's aware. There's also a website you can go on and ask for specific areas to get sprayed by the
Okay.
mosquito control. But, yeah, that's also part of the issue with the water coming on. It makes for stagnant water. But yes,
Absolutely.
we can have that sprayed.
Thank you, Chris.
Mr. Chair, can I make a quick comment?
Yes, sir.
Can we, I see Council McKenna going up there. Some of this McMackin Field drainage issues is, there's some litigation and lawyers talking back and forth, so I would just be pretty careful about what we say on camera about that.
Understood.
As the ward councilor of McMackin Field, I have it sprayed every year.
Thank you.
So, and I'm sure it's the same woman that asks every year, so it's sprayed every year.
Thank you, Counselor.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Thanks, Chris.
Public Works, Facilities, Public Property.
Okay, the next department is facilities. So facilities has done renovations to the DEI office, health department, their new office, which was the previous water sewer billing office, the new nurses station, treasurer's office. They've paid the lower level of City Hall, as well as improved electrical services. I also have to make a point to make you guys aware, the Hassan Wellness Center, they were a huge help in getting that off the ground. Anything from drywall, installing doors, they were a huge effort. I mean, part of that effort to get that building get up and going. Yeah, that's all I have for you guys. Any questions?
Yes, Counselor Cogliandro.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. This isn't really a question. This department of the DPW specifically, I just want to give them a shout out because once a month we have the Veteran Food Pantry at the ISD building, and it turned in from them just coming to help to them even showing up before I do and setting up tables and setting up the canopies and everything. So they're really an integral part of it now, and I just wanted to say thank you. That's
Yeah,
all.
Stevie and their crew do a great job. They do a lot of odds and ends, things that we ask of them. They're not just building maintenance.
Thank you. Councilor Argenzio.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I noticed one thing, the contracted services, the cleaning company, are you eliminating the cleaning company?
Correct. So
And you, okay, go ahead.
in there's a extra labor's position in the budget for that, for that department to backfill that.
Okay, so
extra work.
you're confident that the DPW facilities crew will be able to keep up with all the
Yeah,
buildings?
we've all come to agreement, and we've all agreed that we will be able to take that work back in-house.
Great, thank you very much.
Thank you, Councilor. Councilor Novoselsky.
Thank you. Regarding facilities, was street lighting always under Public Works?
Yes, I was made
It's
aware
the
of
first
that.
time I ever noticed that you guys, and then Bill, Billy Guanasso mentioned to me, oh, yeah, we have streetlights.
Bill's been tracking that down, and he's starting an audit to figure out how accurate that number is that we're being charged from National Grid. But yes, that does come out of our accounts.
Because I noticed several years ago, we had all the LED lights put in on our streetlights, and
Yeah, and I believe that has a factor of why our bills are so high. We're not being charged for those LED lights. I don't know that offhand, but that's what our thoughts are.
right, and I know they put in, when they put the LEDs in, they put in the lowest wattage in a lot of cases. And we had to ask for additional lighting, which changed the cost of whatever our savings were, because I know there were a lot of
Oh, okay.
savings.
That I wasn't aware of.
Yeah, so, because I asked for higher wattage in certain spots, intersections and crosswalks and stuff like that, so, in the parks. So, and I'm still asking for some to be increased. But then Billy said, well, just let me know and we'll do it. But that was the first, I always went through the council. I did motions through the council because I knew it was money that had to be expended.
That was a huge hit to our budget this year, was that one line item.
Yeah, so, I still continue to do it. I get complaints from people that lights are too bright in some spots. So we have to ask for them to be reduced from a 210 down to a 45 or a 96 or whatever it may be.
Oh, I'm sorry, you're saying they were too high?
Yeah,
Oh, okay.
yeah.
thought you were
I
saying-
got one street, they put 220s in, 210s in the whole length of the street. And,
Okay.
And the neighbors were complaining, my shades don't even block them because they're so bright. So I had to ask them to be reduced in some cases. So, but I'm glad to see that Bill's on it, and I'm sure we'll get that
Bill's on it.
down together. Yeah,
We have our best guy on it.
bunch of good guys.
Mr. Chairman, Mr. Chairman, I can shed a little light on that. So Ira,
Sir,
when we were supposed to see a huge cost savings when the LED lights came in, and I inquired about that, but at the same time, they said they went up 3 times the rate on the electricity. So it just wiped out whatever savings we were promised. So I had that discussion with National Grid quite a while ago, so. Yeah, right.
Thank you, Councilor. Councilor Argenzio. Okay, next.
Water and Sewer Enterprise Fund.
All right, now we're at Water Sewer Enterprise. Just so you guys are aware, some of the fiscal 2024 accomplishments. Oh, sorry. We all set? Okay. So some of the fiscal accomplishments of this year, we've replaced 3,330 linear feet of water main. We've completely redone Howard Rand, Oxford, McLeavy. Bellevue has been completed. There was a loop created from the end of Roosevelt to Atwood Street, a redundancy. I mean, that's basically our goals, is to re-loop all these water mains. 45 catch basin repairs, 30 hydrants is replaced, 48 valves replaced, 105 lead services through both contractors and our own DPW. We have replaced and rebuilt 5 sewer pump stations. We started our annual hydrant flushing program. It's been a little delayed because we've been doing night work down at the fire station, putting in a sewer service, along with, we've had some water issues down Washington that we've been trying to complete at night. We have a nice new 12-inch drain, our second vertical solid handling turbine down at the Pines Fire Station, the Pines Drainage Station, which was a huge improvement for the area. Now they have redundant backup, and God forbid we get a nice heavy storm, that station will do its job. Wade Park, electrical upgrades, that sewer station. This year we've had 51 water main breaks repaired, well, to date, the fiscal year. And Griswold Park, the drainage station there that dewaters that whole field and makes that field as usable as possible, is now currently up and running. It's doing a great job. It's about 50 starts and stops each pump each day. And it's, from what I understand, it dries that field out very well down at Griswold. So it's, you can use it day after a rain event. It's hard to list all the accomplishments, but that's
Great job. Thank you.
Yep.
Any questions? Councilor Cogliano.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Hello again, Chris. You mentioned the loop repairs at Rossetti Street to Atwood Street.
Yeah.
So I know that that's been in the plans. I know that line starts all the way at Grover Street and goes pretty much across the city. Is the current repair that you just did helping with the flooding on that street?
Oh, you're talking about the drainage.
Oh, okay.
This is a water line. We looped the water lines because they were technically dead-ended. It's just a water quality thing. You have to loop and have redundancies for backfeeding and stuff like that.
Gotcha.
But we have a design done up for the head wall at that tie gate down there. So it's the Martin Street tie gate where all that comes through. So yes, that design is complete. We're actually having a metal new flap fabricated that should be installed within the next 2 weeks, and that should greatly help the flooding down that area.
And there was, if I remember the conversation, that gravity pipe that goes across Broadway was a little too small, and you guys were going to replace that with a bigger size? Or the main that was going into that gravity pipe was bigger than?
There's a hydraulic jump there. Is that what you're talking, the drainage underneath Broadway going under?
So you get off at Rossetti Street and then you just right across Broadway?
Rossetti Street.
I'm sorry, this is a conversation I had with your father like a year ago, so.
I'm trying to think, Rossetti Street.
All right, let's keep it simple. We're going to be helping Rossetti Street sooner than
Yes.
later. Okay,
Yes.
thank you.
Thank you, Councilor. Thank you, Chris. Is a question from behind you with Councilor McKenna?
So, Councilor McKenna, I would just like to ask a question. Are we still using CDM Smith?
Currently, yes, but their engineering services are going back out to bid.
So I would like to say something. I think we should abolish them. They've raped the city for 20 years, and I think the DPW and the Water Department are capable now, maybe not 20 years ago, but now, to do the work in-house. So I really do think that they should get rid of CDM Smith, because we're building a new high school, and they charge us I don't know how, millions and billions of dollars for the last 20 years. And I just think that we're capable as a city to do it in-house. And one of the audience members said that you guys should wear GoPros. So when you go down, you can see what's down there, you can record it, it could be historical, and the city could see what you're doing. So I think that's a great idea. So, thank you.
Thank you, Councilor McKenna.
So, yes, Councilor McKenna, we have been, I do know the engineer, Nick, the city engineer, is interviewing for resident engineering positions. We have a couple applications to go through. There are 2 open positions. Of course, the city's end game is to hire enough in-house engineers to run each project individually, from design, oversight to completion. And it would be, honestly, I believe, a huge fiscal savings for the city as well. So I'm not completely against what Councilor McKenna has said. But yes, we are working towards self-sufficiency.
Excellent news. Any other questions from the council? Next.
And lastly, for Public Works, Solid Waste Enterprise Fund.
Okay, Solid Waste Enterprise. This is a department that we've had a lot of change again over the past couple months. This has been restructured, and we're trying to get down to the basics of dependable service, just basics, emptying trash on a daily basis throughout the city, so no one can say that there's an overflowing barrel anywhere. That is the end game. We've hired a couple new employees, and one of the things I'd like to look at most is our mattress recycling program, because that seems to be a little bit of a hot issue within the DPW.
Thank you, Chris. Any questions from the council? Councilor Argenzio.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I agree with Mr. Chimella. The mattress issue is out of hand, and I see there is a large increase in the recycling disposal account, which I know is necessary because we ran a deficit last year. And a lot of that, I believe, is tied to the mattress recycling program. We've become the go-to place to get rid of mattresses. I believe we charge $35 and it's cost $75 to get rid of. So I think the city should probably look at that. And then also the rate of recycling, it fluctuates wildly. So I know that's gone up recently. So I think re-looking at, especially the mattress program, would behoove us.
If I may, Mr. Chairman, I did mention earlier when I made a presentation, we were going to review all of our fees, and over the summer, early fall, we'll be coming with some recommendations on fees. But with regard to mattresses in particular, I have polled some of the surrounding communities, and it seems to be that more and more communities are going toward third-party recycling of mattresses, so that if a resident calls and says they have a mattress, there's 2 or 3 vendors they can call to pick up that mattress and take it right out of the city's hands. The pricing for the recycling of mattresses was made lower than the cost of getting rid of them purposefully back when we got the big increase in the recycling because of some DEP regulations. But we felt that if we charged the $75 that it cost us, we'd find more and more of those mattresses dumped behind buildings and on streets. So it's really a tough one to navigate, but I think we're leaning more towards the molding model. And I think Everett now, that if someone calls and says they have a mattress, you refer them to 3 different types of vendors that can actually just take care of that third party. But it is becoming a problem, like Councilor Argenzio says, and we're working toward a solution.
Thank you, Councilor. Councilor Novoselsky.
Thank you. The mattress problem is terrible, and you still finding them laid out on the sidewalks all over the city. And I know down in my area, I have to call Public Works to, remove them all the time. But I know they recycle mattresses, but in some cases they can't because of bed bugs and stuff. They can't touch those. They probably have to burn them. But I know it's difficult, but overall, I know this is one particular item that we're talking about, with recycling, because I'm a big recycler. And I encourage it to everybody. But overall, I just want to say, being here for the 24 years I've been here, I have seen such a dramatic increase in the productivity of the Public Works Department. And, even recently, your dad coming on board 10 years ago and attacking the new piping system and the drainage, the sewage system and the drainage systems. It's just amazing the amount of work that we've put in, even under this the Department of Justice issue that we've had, and working on that, which, hearing that we're almost through with it is a positive thing. And with your assistance and your dad's assistance and everybody involved, I'm just so glad to see the Public Works and giving those guys a new building, which, in 2012, I put the motion in to build a new building. So it took us 12 years to give the guys a new building of what they're proud of now and give them a nice place to work and good quality of work location. So
Thank you.
I'm just glad with everything with Public Works, and I thank you and all the guys for their efforts.
Thank you very much. I know they appreciate that.
Thank you very much, Counselor. Any other questions from the council? No. Chris, I just have one. So I see the pest rodent control, trash barrel lease, and the new equipment have all been, there's no budget line item for them this year? Is there any explanation? Are we done with the rodent issue?
The rodent control actually comes out of health and wellness, I believe.
Yeah, the public health would have that rodent issue, and we also, it's required for any of the water sewer projects that they also bait when they do those projects. We've thankfully seen a great decrease in some of the problems we had the past several years, and that's one of those budgets that if we need to appropriate more money toward it, we certainly will. With regard to capital outlay, that line should probably be hidden. That was that was from when we leased the barrels, the blue barrels that we did several years back. So there was a 3-year capital lease that we have paid off in full. New equipment, that's when we need replacement barrels. But this council, I think 2 years ago, voted a revolving fund for that barrel. So the fees that we charge for the barrel, we buy those barrels out of there. So this last $15,000 was used to buy some inventory, and that should be self-sustaining going forward.
Thank you, Rich. Chris, thank you very much.
Mr. Chairman, before...
Thank you.
Mr. Chairman,
One more question, Councilor Novoselsky.
Thank you, sir. Through you to Rich, Mr. Viskey, are we still doing home poisoning for the rats? Rat thing?
Yeah, the program still exists. Thankfully, it's really curtailed a lot since when we had that really bad problem, but we still, through the Board of Health, we will go and bait residents if they see an activity.
And to what extent? We give them the black boxes? How about, do we rebate?
I mean, I'm not an expert on what they do, but we do provide the service. I'd probably refer that to Board of Health tomorrow night, but yeah, the service does exist.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Councilor. Chris, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Next up is municipal inspections.
Good evening.
Councilors. The rodent program still does exist, Ira. With the signed waiver from the resident in public health, 311 gives the request to the exterminator, and then they will schedule it with the homeowner.
Is that a recurring thing every year, or do they have to call every year?
They would have to call for additional service, yes.
And you do it once, they rebate?
We do it once, and then they will go back and rebate as well, and add some more bait to the box that's already on site, yeah.
If somebody needs it, they should give you a call, or call 311?
They have to go online under revere.org/rodents, and there's a waiver on there that they need to...
Wayne Road.
sign
Okay,
and submit, allowing the company to come on their property to do the road and paving.
gotcha, thank you.
Welcome.
Thank you, Counselor. Any other questions from the council? Okay, Mike, please.
Thank you. In lieu of time, you guys have the accomplishments and goals for municipal inspections on the health side. On the numbers side, pretty much the same as last year. No big changes. Be happy to answer any questions.
Thank you. Any questions from the council? Council Kelly.
Hi, good evening.
Good evening.
Thank you. There's a line for a position, inspector sanitary. Is that vacant or has that been filled?
It was just recently filled.
Thank you.
Any other questions? Councilor Argenzio.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you, Mr. Wells, for coming. As I said to Mr. Cavanaro, your department always gets sometimes some bad press because all the fines you give out and what have you, but it's a necessary thing, and thank you for that. You have a great staff, and I know they're stretched. As far as questions go, and I had said the same thing to Mr. Cavanaro, weekends and nights, I know I call you, you respond immediately. I know that's not the answer, but I think you're going to work together to try to come up with a system that will cover nights and weekends. The total salary from other sources, is that from tickets and 40U? Is that what?
That is 40U, yes.
That's 40U. Okay, very good. And I believe that's it. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor. Councilor Novoselsky.
Thank you, sir. Just a comment, because, I don't see anywhere we can cut in your department, because they do a great job. They're always on top of things, and I just want to, again, I've been congratulating a lot of people tonight, but I do want to congratulate you also with your staff.
Thank you.
And they do a good job, and, they get out there, not totally happy sometimes with some of the decisions they make,
Right.
but that's the same with everybody else, with a lot of things. And I still have to follow up on a few things, but in general, I think you run a great department. Things have changed a lot, like Public Works, and it's very positive, and, I hear from the neighbors, some are good, some are bad, and I take it for where it comes, but in general, good job.
Thank you.
Thank you.
We live in an on-demand world, and everybody wants everything yesterday, right? Unfortunately, you call 911, police and fire show up at your house right away, and unfortunately, we don't get that with our department. We have policies and procedures that we need to follow. We try to get everything as closed out as fast as we possibly can, but there are policies and procedures that we have to follow, before we can take action on properties, so. Yeah, sometimes it takes a while, sometimes we get good results, but sometimes it is a little bit of a waiting game as well. And I understand the frustration on that behalf, but.
Thank you, Councilor. Thank you, Mike. Councilor Cogliano.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Hi, Mike. Are you also doing short-term rentals tonight?
Short-term rentals does fall under me now, yes. It's all in one.
That's what I had questions about, so I didn't know if you were going to represent both.
Yeah, well, the short-term rental budget has actually been rolled right into ISD, so there's no separate presentation for that.
Okay. Then if I may, I do have a question. Well, two questions. Not really budget-related. The budget looks fine. Have you seen a large uptick in the number of short-term rentals in the city over the last couple of years? And do we think that the department needs to grow at all? Because I know, we have two great employees in there.
We do,
Yeah.
and one of them actually helps out on the housing side now as well, which was a huge need with the amount of, units that came into the city. So there's definitely an uptick. We have a great software system that identifies any listings and rentals that are out there. They get letters out right away. Pretty good compliance. There's always a couple out there that are always straggling that we're not getting the compliance that we would like right away. But once we get owners' attentions and
We had one in Beachmont just recently that we got into, a non-owner occupied house, and, so they're definitely out there, and we deal with them as they come to us. A lot of them are definitely licensed, and we deal with the ones that we get the complaints on.
And that department, or that part of your department, has done a great job with the enforcement. And I love that program kicks out a letter automatically when a listing comes in. The other question is, we have something before the council, which is to eliminate the ability for single-family homes to be short-term rentals. And I'm sure you guys are going to speak on that. I didn't know if you had an opinion on how you feel about that, if that's something we should look into doing or not.
The ordinance states that it has to be a single-family home. It's kind of hard to rent out your home if you're living there too, so I think it might be ideal if it does go to maybe a two-family, an owner's living in one unit, and then they are able to short-term lease the additional unit.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Mr.
Point of
Chair.
information. On July 22nd, we're going to have a legislative affairs meeting, and that subject is coming up, and I sent a letter to Mr. Capizzi. He's going to be here that evening to explain the legalities of that, so that'll come up on the 22nd of July.
Thank you very much.
All right, thank you.
Thank you, Counselor. And Mike, thank you very much. You do a great job down there. I just got one question. So if the city identified a major area, so the Hitchborn Street extension area down across from Easy Disposal, there has been a lot of uptick in rodents. I don't know, it's a very transient part of the city, so I don't know if the people are invested enough to even want to pull out so if the city realized that was a bad area, would they send the baiters down to do it, or would individual houses have to still fill out the?
Individual houses still have to approve the baiting company to come onto their property and approve them to apply bait to their property as well.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Next up is the police department budget.
Good evening, Chief.
Good evening. My apologies for being late. Had training today, so I apologize. And thank you for accommodating me at later in the meeting. I'm just going to start off quickly. I'll just go over our mission statement for the police department, and then if you would like, I'll go over some accomplishments, or if you folks have questions. The mission statement of the police department: we, the members of the Revere Police Department, are committed, take pride, and are dedicated to the needs of our community and the delivery of quality police services in an effective, responsible, and professional manner. We recognize and accept our responsibility to maintain order while affording dignity and respect to each and every individual that we encounter. Our objective is to improve the quality of life through the community and interagency partnerships to thereby promote a safe and secure community for all. Some of the accomplishments we had in this past year, the wonderful thing, out of a unfortunate circumstance, but we had 3 officers that were honored at the 40th annual Trooper George Hanna Awards for bravery. And Trooper Hanna was a gentleman who was killed in the early 80s during a traffic stop, and he was gunned down by several armed suspects. These officers were awarded that for an unfortunate event that occurred a couple years ago on Broadway, where they engaged a armed career criminal who unfortunately fired several rounds, bullets at the officers on busy Broadway at about 8:30 at night. And they acted immediately, swiftly, and returned fire with one round only and ended it, protected the community. No one else was injured, and even that individual was injured, but slightly. So they did an outstanding job, and it's all attributed to their training and who they are and their professionalism. So I'm very proud of those 3 officers, and that's what we promote down at the police department, and they're the model officers for everybody else. Right now, we're continuing to replenish the patrol force and increase the ranks of the department. We hired a couple of officers that just got out of training now, and a total of 8 officers were hired in the past year. They just completed 26 weeks of the police academy, but we also have an additional 5 that have just started in the Lowell Police Academy in May. So we're going to anticipate them getting out of the police academy in about 6 months. So it's just a long, drawn-out process. And it's continual. Everything's always changing. And what I mean is, at any time in the department, we probably have 10 to 15% of the department out for different reasons. Injured on duty, sick, military leave, FMLA. So we have a lot of different things going on all the time. So it's always challenging and a daunting task to staff the shifts. You know, especially we go 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365 days a year. So we're doing pretty good. Right now, our staffing level, we're at 105. We have 5 in the police academy. We just got a new police list, and we anticipate hiring probably 7 to 10 officers if we can get them in the near future. But like I said, it takes a while to get them trained. They go to the academy for 6 months. We have at least 12 weeks that they do field training. Sometimes we extend it just to make sure that they really grasp the job and what they need to do. So, you know, just a roundabout number, it's about a year between vetting them and going through the training process and things like that. It takes almost a year for an officer ready to go on the street. So, and I don't think sometimes people understand how intensive it is, and it just takes a long time. We still have a behavioral health unit from, a grant that we received. It's in the 2nd year, the EAPS grant, Equitable Approaches to Public Safety, that, a handful of communities in the state were fortunate enough to get it, and Revere was one of them. And it's done a lot of great things in the community. We can deal with a lot of substance abuse issues, mental health issues. We're out doing work and referrals and things like that, and it's very beneficial. Because in the last probably decade, we've dealt with a surge of mental health-related problems that can be attributed to substance abuse issues, alcoholism, or just other things that are going on in their life, and people are having trouble. And, in the past, those things were stigmatized, but now they're not. And we try to work with the courts. We work with the, health department, the Board of Health, Health and Human Services for the city. So everybody kind of works collaboratively together, and it's worked out well, and the results have been tremendous. So, and we've offered a lot of resources and touched a lot of people. We've been doing a lot of work, a lot of training, just because of police reform and things that have changed dramatically in the last few years, especially since 2020, where we just recently did, it's been going on for a while, but we just cycled a bunch of officers through Rewire training. It's through ROCA. It's basically anti-bias and it teaches the police officers how to think differently and how to interact, better with the community and people that we may encounter. And that's been very successful, and a lot of the officers and even some of the older officers have given high regards on the training. Very happy with it, and, they've gotten something out of it. We still continue to do CIT training, which we've been doing that for several years, and it was started in the Somerville Police Department years back. And I want to say we started doing it about 10 years ago. and it works hand in hand with our behavioral health unit. So it's a lot of crisis intervention. So the officers go through about a week-long training, and it's grant-funded, but similar to other programs we do, it teaches officers how to deal with people that are in crisis, mental health issues, and other things, and it gives us other options on responses, because some of these people have issues that the courthouse is not the solution to send them. We currently still, I'll just kind of cap it off. We have a lot of things that went on last year, but I'll cap it off with, we were able to enter a MOU with the Suffolk County Sheriff's Department to help us with housing prisoners. And the cost of it has been well worth it, just because of the liability and the issues. A lot, just like I said in a few things that we talked about, different training. We're dealing with people that we have in custody that they have a lot more issues or severe issues that the police department can't deal. We don't have the staff to deal with these people, and sometimes we house them for 3 days. I'll be honest, it's almost inhumane. We send them to the jail. They have the staff, medical people. They have all the services they can offer, and it's been well worth the money. And it's taken a huge liability away from the police department and the city. And about a decade ago, there was an unfortunate incident with someone in custody that cost the city about $1.75 million during the litigation. And I want to say there was another entity involved. They had to pay $2 million. So it's well worth the cost, and I think it's better we can keep the police officers out on the street and not in the station doing a duty that the sheriff's department is much better at than we are. And they're much better trained. These are just a few highlighted things. I don't want to belabor it, so if anyone has any questions for me.
Chief, thank you very much. Councilor Argenzio.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and thank you, Chief. You and your officers have all my respect. I know it's very hard working as a police officer in this day and age, and thank you to you and your staff. I just have two very small questions. One, the clerk to the Traffic Commission. I know the City Council just passed something to give that position a stipend. I don't see it here in the budget. Maybe Mr. Viscay can see if that was the clerk to the Traffic Commission.
You're correct, Counselor. I don't see it in here. I'm not sure if that was placed in a different budget.
Okay.
I don't think there is one that will be placed in, but I cannot follow up with my budget analyst tomorrow and get you an answer on that one.
Thank you. And my other question, the Police Activities League, I understand
Yes.
they may have lost their grant. Is there a way of keeping that program going?
Yes. Our funding has been decreased significantly, and I want to say at one point, there was tens and thousands of more dollars in that grant.
Right.
Now it's been cut down considerably. So we're trying to look at some different avenues, because that's another very successful program that bridges a lot of gaps in the community with the young people and, you know, that we encounter. And
Right.
it
I would
keeps-
hate to see anything happen to that program. It's very successful, and
Yeah, we're trying to come up with some different ideas. I know Mr. Aldoni has been, you know, getting some donations and support from other folks and businesses and stuff like that. So we're going to continue on that. And we always have our eyes out for grants and things like that. So we're going to try to keep that going, because that's one of our better programs. It's been going for over 20 years.
Right. Thank you very much.
Probably 30, so.
Thank you. I'm all
You're
set.
welcome.
Thank you, Councilor. Councilor Cogliano.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Chief, thank you very much for being here. I'm really excited that, I think last year, we didn't see a lot of people wanting to be police officers, and from what it looks like more people are now applying and wanting to take the position. Have you noticed an uptick in people wanting to be part of the police department?
We've seen a little bit of an uptick in the new police list was just certified, or just come out around June 1st, and it looks like there's some fresh, new names on there, and we're gonna start vetting them very soon. And, what the challenging thing is, police officers are in demand. Very difficult to get them. You have Boston, for the first time, that has hired non-residents. It's always been one of those things that you have to be a resident of Boston, or unless, in a couple of occasions, they did lateral transfers. They tried to do lateral transfers. It didn't work out well, because a lot of police departments won't let anybody leave because of the staffing issues. And then when the state police, they hire 300 at a time, that makes it very difficult. So we're hoping to strike right after the new fiscal year and start vetting through people and try to hire them before, the bigger the departments start getting into the list.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Thank you, Counselor. Counselor Novoselsky.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Chief, again, you're just part of the great team that we have in this city. And your department is excellent. I appreciate all your help you've done down in Ward 2. I remember back in 1978 when we had all gangs down there. You were there yourself walking the streets of Shirley Ave. And I thank you for that, and everybody realizes that, and where you've come from and how far you've come up to now. And putting directed patrols at certain locations at certain times has been a great asset, and everybody appreciates that, especially me and a lot of the residents that know what's going on. And we thank you. I see the patrolmen all the time. I talk to them, they tell me what's going on, and I appreciate their openness to talk to myself. I don't know how they do with the other counselors, but, they're very good when they deliver the packets. Everything is very above board, and they don't tell me private stuff, so don't worry about that. But it's really good to see the way the department is. Would I like to see more patrolmen on the street? Absolutely. You said we had 105 now?
Yes.
And that's by the ordinance, 105?
Well, there's no real ordinance.
Did we go up to 112 at one point?
I want to say probably in the heyday, the most I've seen at the police station from memory is probably 118.
118.
119.
Yeah.
So in this current fiscal budget, there's going to be 2 positions added, so we'll be up to 117. And hopefully, we'll be able to hire some additional folks that we desperately need, just to be able to service the community. Revere's a busy, busy community.
Yes, we are.
With a lot of good things, but just there's a lot of people.
Yeah.
And a lot of people come and go through it, especially.
I just want to thank you and the whole staff all the way down, and for all the hard work that they put in and the love that they have for this city, whether they live here or not, believe it or not. And
Yes.
they've had family here, they have family here, and they still feel like they live here. And I appreciate that very much.
Well, they spend the vast majority of their hours of the weeks here, at work at different times. But no, we're very fortunate. We have a tremendous staff at the police station, a lot of younger, new officers, and they're all very committed. So we're very fortunate. Thank you.
Thank you, Counselor. Chief, thank you very much, and you have a great night.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Okay, that will do it for tonight's budget meeting. I'd like to put a motion on the floor, Madam Clerk. I would like to put a motion on the floor to carry... Excuse me, sir, the meeting's not ended. Sir, the meeting's not ended. Sir, the meeting has not ended. Thank you, Chief. Madam Clerk, I'd like to place a motion on the floor that at the end of tomorrow night's June 13th meeting, I'd like to refer the remainder of the Ways and Means budget to Monday, the June 24th for a committee of the whole. 5 p.m.
On the motion, Chairman, Counselor Agenzio?
Yes.
Yes. Counselor Kelly?
Yes.
Yes. Counselor Novoselsky?
Yes.
Yes. Counselor Zambudo is absent, and Chairman Silvestri?
Yes.
Yes, the the FY25 budget will be referred to the Committee of the Whole after tomorrow night's meeting.
Thank you, and that is for tonight's meeting. Meeting adjourned.